You know what I like about our videos?
Oh.
How many people have said to you, stop calling yourself a news podcast YouTube channel because you're not. It's not news. It's
not
so
news.
late.
It's totally reactionary.
But you know what we are?
What?
The best watch news podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand why
What is up, Watch fan? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by Squarespace and you.
And me, more on that in
me.
a second. So today we're talking about Cartier. We're taking a look at this brand that Michael and I both really adore.
Yep.
From a very macro kind of point of view, like who the brand is, why they are the way they are, being that they both straddle this line between haute horology and the mass market kind of like luxury jewelry consumer.
And really more than anyone.
Yep. And then we're going super, micro and taking a look at the particular collection and ranking all of these watches.
Some rather harshly, some rather surprisingly, I would say.
Yes.
Some of yours surprised me.
And I think that by the end of this video, even if you're not a huge Cartier fan, or going into this, if you're not, I think you're going to come out on the other side saying, "Wow, I've underestimated the chops of Cartier. Wow, I didn't really understand how truly remarkable they are." And then, understanding that what you understood is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And then finally, as much as Cartier has made huge leaps and bounds to appeal to the watch market, they still have one, well, you called it a disgrace, I forget what I called it, but one kind of terrible thing that they're doing that doesn't make any sense for their market.
It's terrible, and we will tell you in a little while towards the end of this video, but I am very upset by it, and it's really not funny at all. As watch lovers, it is upsetting. And then at the end of today's episode, after all the Cartier talk is done, we're going to give you guys a sneak peek, 15-ish minutes into the relaunch of our podcast. So go on over to patreon.com/ChristianZerone, link down below, and sign up. We're going to be releasing a bunch of podcasts every month with different watch dealers and beyond that as well. It's going to be terrific. So stay tuned to the end of today's video to listen to Michael and I talk about more watches. Okay, so where do you want to start here, Big Mike?
Let's do something easy first. Let's do the new Tank American. Normal.
Okay, the new Tank Normal, and you've got it in what configuration?
I have the skeleton. But we'll talk about it in a more broad sense. The Tank Normal, because I also have it in yellow gold, so we can rate them separately too.
Okay, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
So the new, that's actually very smart.
Thanks.
So the new Tank Normal skeleton and the new Tank Normal period.
Yes.
I will give you a brief little background history before we rank these watches.
Yep.
And we'll rank them at the same time to see where we fall.
D through S. S being
super good.
Super good.
Super good. Okay, so the Tank Normal was the original Cartier tank. Many people believe that the Cartier tank that came out in 1917 was the Louis. That is not the case. It was the Normal.
Good pun.
It was the Normal. What's the pun?
Good case.
Good case. Oh, it was the Normal, which is actually pretty evident because the design of the tank was after a Renault tank from the war. The Normal looks just like that tank.
It's truly, you look at the Tank Normal and you're like, oh, you just copied a tank. When for a while I thought the Tank Louis was the original, and I was like, oh, I like that you took the tank and you made it subtle and beautiful. This is no,
it's a tank.
No, I just drew the tank and made it a watch.
Exactly, which really introduced this idea of industrial design, with luxury.
Yes.
So fast forward till today, Cartier just reintroduced the Normal for the first time in 20-something years, and even then it was in very low production.
Yes.
They introduced it in low production now, but the first one that we're talking about is the skeleton.
That is 25 of them being made, correct?
There may be 25. Yes, 25 or 50. I can't remember.
I think it's 20.
Okay.
There may be 25. There may be more.
There may be more. Where do you rank this watch?
This watch...
And why?
Okay, yeah. This watch I'm going to give super good.
Yeah. Because
of a few things. One, the case shape is phenomenal. They made it a little bit bigger than the original Normal. I love is it a ruby on the cabochon?
Yes.
Or it's not a cabochon.
Cabochon just means a stone that has a flat back and faceted on the outside.
Okay. Then yes, I like the ruby. I love that. And then the other thing is the skeleton is beautiful. I'll let you get into that in a second. But the day and night indicator, since this is a 24-hour movement, blows my mind.
Yes.
And going in on that.
Yeah, doing a skeleton is so difficult, right? Think about, obviously making a dial is difficult, designing a dial is difficult, sure.
Yeah.
But a dial is a way to obviously mask a lot of the very hard things to do, very hard things that need to be done behind it, right?
Yeah.
It is a
It's
kind
the
of
hood
a
of a car.
facade.
Yeah,
Exactly. By doing a skeleton, not only finishing it well, but Cartier took it a step further and basically built a sun and a moon into the skeleton is just brilliant. It's a stroke of brilliance. This watch is not only super good for Cartier,
Yep.
I would say that it is truly one of the greatest watches released in the last decade.
Wow.
Yes. That
Normal.
good.
Normal.
This Tank Normal.
Yes. What
This-
about the regular?
Well, where do you rank it?
You want to go on 3?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. A. Oh, I think I know why you're going to say B too.
You go.
You're going to say B because the limited run.
It's unoriginal, my man.
Oh.
There's no level of originality to it.
Wow.
Frankly, I was between B and C.
Whoa. C is crazy.
Yes, because again, it's great, and it's very limited, which bothers me. Very good point.
Yeah.
But it didn't take any.
Wow.
It took. The most impressive part of it was that a very large company, a ship, was able to turn and put an olive branch out to the watch community, as opposed to just making things for the mass market.
Wow.
Otherwise, this is not an impressive watch.
That's a hot take. And do you think this is part of the Privé collection? Do you think, which is the whole point of that collection, is to reach back in the archive?
Yes.
Do you see that as, it's really, like you said, it's an olive branch to watch collectors, but it's the easiest olive branch you can give?
It's the easiest. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a very easy olive branch. I mean, there's nothing original about it.
Wow.
Period end.
Period end.
So I would put it between B and C, but I'll give it a B.
Wow.
Yep.
That is an incredibly low ranking for what I thought these other watches would be.
Yeah.
Not that watch.
Yeah.
Interesting. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Do you need a website or domain, or do you already have one?
Well, I already have a few websites and domains that I've powered exclusively through Squarespace. My story, as many of you guys know, with Squarespace is about now a little over 8 years old. When I was starting Theo and Harris, which was my first business, I had no budget, I had no aptitude online, I had no ability to actually build a company, an online company, right?
Yep.
I tried a Squarespace competitor to begin with, did not go well.
Which is a very terrible feeling.
Exactly. Someone recommended Squarespace, and everything completely changed, right? All of what I was hoping could happen started to really materialize very quickly. Squarespace was so easy to use to build a website and to build a beautiful and functional website. We have literally generated millions of dollars in sales over the last 8 years, something, over
Maybe
10,
even billions.
12, something $1 million in sales with Squarespace as our partner, and I could not recommend them more. Not only to people that are starting their businesses now and looking to build a website, but also to all of you people out there with websites for your businesses that really it could be easier and it could be better, right? There is a solution here. You can migrate over to Squarespace and build a gorgeous website with very little legwork, let me tell you,
Yep.
and you will not regret it. In fact, you'll probably be thanking me for doing it. So head on over to Squarespace and really begin this transformational stage of your company.
So if you are interested in doing that, you can use squarespace.com/Theo Harris to get 10% off your first order of a website or domain.
Terrific.
Okay, well, we'll save some interesting ones for a little bit later. Let's do the Cintre, because I forgot to add this watch to the list and you reminded me.
Yes.
I
Now,
think
which
is interesting.
Cintre do you want to do?
Let's do the skeleton first, because I want to know if you just put skeletons up the S.
Well, no, right? Skeleton watches, I do not give more credit. I think if you're going to do something audacious, you don't just get credit for it. I'm not going to give you a higher ranking, only if you do it well.
Yeah.
That being said, Cartier does do it so well.
Yeah, right.
So I will give this skeleton also super good, but it is far inferior to the Normal, because the skeleton, there's no theory behind it. The Normal was taken to the next level with 24-hour movement, and with the sun and the moon and the color gradation in the metal, it's a different animal. This would be, that is upper class, that is lower upper class. So far as, I don't mean classes with watches, I just mean
people.
Right. I mean like where they would rank on the upper class level, on the super good level.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you still want to S?
Give it the bottom of the rung of S.
Okay, here's an interesting question.
Which, by the way, to achieve anything in the bottom of the rung of S is a great achievement.
Yes, exactly. Now, when you say innovation with Cartier, do you mean K-shape, movement technology, skeletonizing? They have enamel cases now. They have and then maybe lacquer case. They have DLC cases. Where do you see innovation at Cartier?
Well, innovation can be found all over, right?
Yep, of
it
course.
can obviously be found in the usage of alternative materials like DLC coating. Hublot, I know people don't like Hublot, but I love that they use sapphire. I think that's very interesting.
I do too.
would love to see a sapphire tank at some point. It'd be very
That would
interesting.
be crazy, yes.
But really innovation, I'm looking at case design. So you've got the classic Cartier models, right?
Yep.
The Santos, the Crash, the Tank Louis, the Tank Normal, all these things. So you can reissue them as what they've always been.
Yes.
You can modernize an existing model, which would be a step up so long as it is good.
Yep.
Or C, which is truly create something new.
Yes.
Which Cartier has not done
In a very long time.
in a very long time.
Yeah.
In a very long time.
And they could do it off of what they used to do, which is like, this looks like a tank. We'll make the watch look like a tank. This is a
Exactly.
bathtub. We'll make the Benoit. This
Yes.
is this.
This is the melting clock from, Dali.
That is so cool.
Exactly.
That methodology of making watches too is always amazing.
Yes.
Because you're like, wow, that's incredible.
That is an artist. Cartier was always more, I mean, they used great movements, but reminded me more of someone, like that made pottery.
Yes,
always
exactly.
forming it into new shapes with their hands. I mean,
Yeah.
And keep in mind, these watches were handmade, so a lot of the cases were ever so slightly different. You
Yeah.
know, if you look at crashes from the original, London run, they're all a little different.
That's crazy.
I mean, have you ever seen side-by-sides?
No.
Okay, let's take a brief aside.
Yeah.
So here's a good example, right? These are both London crashes. One in yellow, one in white.
That's crazy.
Look at the
These
differences.
two on his wrist.
Look at the bump in over here.
Oh,
Look
wow.
how- it's a different shape.
Yeah.
It's just a different shape.
Yeah, 100%.
These watches were handmade.
Wow.
Look at
The
everything.
oxidization on that.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Look how large the dent is there. Smaller there, right? These watches are all
Wow.
different.
Wow.
It's very fascinating.
Which is really when Cartier was prime Cartier, old Cartier. We don't make a lot of these. They're not meant to be made a lot of.
Exactly.
And now it's let's get everything moving.
Exactly.
Cintre without skeleton.
Cintre normal dial.
Yes.
So I actually like the normal, even the direct reissue,
Okay.
more than the Cintre's modern dial. I don't like that dial very much.
I don't either. I don't like the. Is it sunburst? I can't really tell.
Yeah, it's like this sunburst finish with this very tone-on-tone Arabic text. It's. I don't love it.
I don't either. I think Cartier really is at their game when they're doing skeletons or when they're doing flat white dials.
Right.
Or flat white dials with a texture.
Right.
That's Cartier.
That being said, I have to give it an A.
An A.
I put
Whoa.
it one rung above the normal.
Okay.
It's much less special. It's much less expensive. It's much less all of that.
Sure.
Much easier to get. You can go and buy one on Chronos 24 for $25,000 right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was different, and it wasn't bad. Like it was good. I don't love it, but it was good.
Wow. I was going C.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow. You're like,
There you go.
wow.
Yeah.
I have no interest in Cintres, and I think really the dial ruins it.
Well, this one is quite large. Do you like my Cintre?
Yeah, of course.
You hate my Cintre.
No, I think it's good. I do. I like that it's flat white dial.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't think yours has is the Breguet hands. Right?
Mine does not have big hands.
That, to me,
wild.
that on any Cartier, I'm like A++.
Yeah, it's wild.
We'll go B, middle of ours.
Yeah, let's go B.
Okay, let's go. Okay, here's an interesting. No, we'll save the tank to the end because it's an interesting comparison. But let's go Santos because Santos is Cartier's like, this guy's coming in to get this watch line.
100%.
He's gonna get it in large. He's gonna get it in medium. He could get it in this style color. He can get it in green. He can get it in clear. We can have a DLC coating.
Yep.
We can have a chronograph.
Yep.
That is Cartier's answer to. Yes, we're Cartier. We're decidedly not a sports watch. We're an artistic watch. This, on the other hand, is decidedly a sports watch.
The Santos is a truly great watch.
Truly.
I love the Santos.
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid, but the easy chain straps are great. I think that the Santos the current Santos is a really solid evolution of this very historical model.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The Santos, as we know it, was basically introduced again in the 1970s under the Carré collection. I have one in yellow gold and I have one in two-tone. They're great watches.
Those are crazy.
I love those watches.
Yep.
That's basically the Santos history goes back over 100 years now, but that's really where this started.
Yeah.
moving forward, this is a more modern watch. It's a larger watch. It's still a sleek watch. It's not as aggressive, but it still has some industrial design. They did a very good job.
They did.
I love it in two-tone. I love it in rose.
Yeah.
Their skeletons are great.
Yeah.
Great value. They do it in steel, which
Steel
is very
is a phenomenal
unusual.
value, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would give the steel,
Steel, straight steel.
straight steel with skeleton, I would give it in the A.
With skeleton.
With skeleton in A.
Okay, we don't have that on here.
Yep. And I would put the straight steel in. It's tough. I mean, to be totally fair, it has to be below the Cintre and the Normal.
Yep.
It has to be because it's not as good of a watch. It's not.
The thing that gets me too is it is unbelievably easy to scratch. A polished
Is
steel
it?
bezel raised
Yeah.
a bunch above everything, but still like solid movement, 100 meters water resistance. It's a sports watch, but
It's tough. Okay. So ready?
Yeah.
In yellow, in rose gold,
Uh-huh.
I put it in B.
Okay.
In steel, I put it in C.
Okay.
And in steel skeleton, I put it in A.
Okay. I'd probably go. Well, interestingly, I could see how it's B if we change how we were ranking things.
That's
You
why
understand what I'm
I wanted to put the metal on metal and make it a little bit more fair.
Yeah,
You
that makes
know?
sense. Yep. Okay, so yeah, Editor Mike is going to help us and put the actual other watches on that list. But
Yep.
yeah, it is tough with that steel watch because that is the watch that I see everybody who's getting into Cartier, for numerous reasons, that's the watch they go to right away. Because that is also the safest Cartier you can get if you're a sports watch guy.
Agreed.
What about when we added DLC coding? This is DLC coded and a chronograph, but I really want to talk about the DLC coding.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I thought it was interesting. When that first came out, it's definitely a watch where you're like, oh, wow, that's the way you did that was interesting. That being said, when we compare it to the lacquer dial or enamel, it does look like the discount version of that, which is what you're going into.
And that's the Dumont versus the Santos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But I think it's cool. I especially small size with that. I'd probably put it above C in terms of doing something daring. It also creates a secondary silhouette of the watch.
So you want to give them points for the fact that it's daring. So it's not my cup of tea.
Yep,
But
yep.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to put it in B. I would much prefer the steel variant. I like the steel quite a bit. I like the two-tone even more. But I understand where you're coming from. I think that you're correct.
I also think the coating's interesting. And I don't mean interesting necessarily in a good way, because if this is a scratch magnet, it will chip away if it's DLC coated.
Right.
So it will scratch and stuff like that. Cool for aging, but also they'll eventually do something where the inner is ceramic or it's a hardened steel or something like that. But Cartier Sports line, I feel like they're kind of like getting their toes wet a little bit.
Right.
Let's do the Dumont, and then we'll hit on some of the tougher to rank models.
Yeah. Okay, so the Dumont with the enamel case.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is a big throwback to the Cartier of the early 20th century. Cartier did enamel cases, enamel accents. It's beautiful stuff.
Yep.
I would not buy this watch. I do not love this watch.
Really? Have you seen it in the metal?
I have.
I haven't.
And
Okay.
they do it in cream. They
Yep.
do it in this burgundy. They do it. It's amazing. It's fantastic. I do not love it. I would prefer a lot of other things on this deck.
Wow.
It's still an A.
Why don't you love it?
I just don't love it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't. It
You
just
at
doesn't speak to
Cartier.
me. Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the
Wow.
enamel cases don't speak. First, honestly, the Santos Dumont does not speak to me as a model that
You
much.
used to have the vintage
I had
Santos Dumont. That was
I've
kind of
had
your
almost
iconic
every
watch for a
Santos.
while.
I've had every Santos, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the ultra thin Dumont of the 1970s.
That was when I was just watching TNH as like just a fan. And I was like, oh, I should get a Dumont. That's cool.
Great watches. I loved them. When I had one,
But you think A?
I think it's yes, because it is a great watch. It is truly a great watch.
I would put you saw the skeleton one with the plain rotor.
That's an S.
That's an S for
That's
sure.
an S,
That
for
is
sure.
that is an unbelievable
For
watch.
sure.
Okay, let's get into some of the more hot takes, controversial ones. Let's go. What is this, Pasha?
That's a Pasha.
Let's go Pasha first.
Yeah.
This is the iconic watch that I feel like it's a good watch. It's fine, but
Yeah.
you will probably get made fun of if you get it.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, this watch, it's kind of the ugly duckling in the Cartier collection. It's decidedly 1980s. It was commissioned by an Arab leader, sheik. I don't know if he was a sheik. I really don't know. I don't recall, to be honest.
Yeah.
But a prominent, Arab royalty guy.
Okay.
Interesting story, cool. not my watch. I don't love the hyper complicated versions that they used to make. I just never loved the watch.
Yeah, to me it looks like a trench watch for rich people. Like people during World War I were like, that's kind of trendy that you have to put steel on your watch to make sure it doesn't shatter. But like I don't want that on my watch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for some reason I do feel like this is Cartier now has evolved to a point where they're refining their watch image a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like this should have probably been moved or redesigned with that refinement, and for some reason it stays.
Yes.
Are you thinking D? Like, wow.
So, like, this is hard, man, because the Santos in steel is far better than the Pasha.
Yeah. Right.
So Pasha is either the bottom of C or the top of D.
I'd go top of D.
Do it. For the record, I do think bottom of C, but that's
Okay,
fine.
Great, yeah. We should, when I make this, I'll make little half things in the middle.
Yeah, it's
and then nothing will be on the full thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Well, interesting. You said Tank Francaise.
Tank Francaise.
You have a hot opinion on?
So the Tank Francaise was just updated for the first time in a very long time, and frankly, I think it was actually demoted. I think that the previous generation of the Tank Francaise was much nicer.
Previous generation, what was the difference? Flat white dial, right?
Yeah, it was the dial, but it was also the way that the bracelet is integrated into the case, the way the lugs attach. So this is the small version of the predecessor. And then this is the new version.
Oh, interesting. Go back to the small version.
New, older.
Oh, yeah, there's like an extra link in there.
There's like an extra link in there.
Oh, probably so it lays flatter.
Maybe.
They a lot of times do that with like a female link at the end, so that way it goes perfectly straight down.
I honestly found the predecessor to be more elegant. I liked it better.
Yeah, you know,
liked it.
hot take, maybe not even a hot take. I feel like this watch just doesn't look the best on a bracelet. I think on a leather strap it'd look fantastic.
And that's the interesting thing, right? Like it's the sporty tank.
Yeah, right.
It's supposed to be the tank that you can wear on a bracelet, and I totally get that, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can get it because the head is great, but and the bracelet made sense.
Sure.
But yes, a tank. Generally speaking, the tank is so beautiful on a leather strap that it's tough to look at on a bracelet.
I find it odd that Cartier hasn't really. When we're looking at Collection Privé and the Normal, it's a fantastic bracelet. It goes perfectly. I feel like with these bracelets, like they haven't really put the work into them.
Yeah.
They haven't tapered them. They don't really polish them a certain way.
Yeah, well, they can't really taper. I get why they don't taper them. They like to keep that kind of substantial look. I kind of understand that. Cartier always basically did that.
Yeah.
Cartier's bracelets never really tapered.
I think, which I think makes sense when we're looking at like this 5-6 link on the Normal, but when we're looking at like their kind of version of an oyster, I'm just using that generally. That I'm like, that's a very beefy thing that you have.
It's like a cuff. It's like a bracelet or a
exactly.
cuff. I put this watch in C.
I'd agree. I definitely say.
And in every metal. I think that it is a C in every metal.
Wow. Old model you would have put?
The predecessor, I put in the B category.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I like that watch. I like that watch quite
It's
a
a good
bit.
watch.
And that watch could have been improved upon if they, made a couple of tweaks to it. It was one of those watches that they really did right the first time. So I don't know how much I would have done. I understand the need to remodel.
Evolve and
I understand that.
change, right.
I just don't think that it was better. I think that it was marginally, but worse.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree, or definitely agree. Really, I don't like the bracelet at all. That's the tough part for me. Moving on, we're gonna save the tank for last, like I said, because there's a glaring mishap issue, weird thing in there. But going from that, let's go to the Pasha, the woman's model.
Yeah. Great question. So there's another one that we're missing here. With the Pasha that I would give. What on the right there, is it just a regular Pasha with a diamond bezel or something?
This?
Yeah.
That is just gold.
It's the gold Pasha?
Yep.
I'll give the gold Pasha, the standard gold Pasha, a B.
A B. Okay.
I think that's a great watch.
Yep.
It's not original.
It's iconic.
Nothing
but not
crazy
original.
about it. Not original. It's a great watch. I think it's great. The other one with the brown dial,
Yep.
I put it in the A.
A. Okay.
And that's an aggressive A.
Yeah.
I'm being nice, but I think it's really good
Because of the brown dial.
because of the brown dial.
Okay.
And in the double tour, because they also make a double tour.
Double tour.
It's got the bracelet that wraps around twice.
Oh yes.
And that would also go in the A.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, Double Tour definitely up there.
Yep.
Ironically, coincidentally, funny enough, I think we both want to date women that wear Pashas though.
Yep. 100%.
No doubt. I want to get Taylor a Pasha so bad.
Yep.
And she's always like, just if we're gonna spend money on a watch, how about we just pay off some student loans? Wouldn't that be fun?
You're like that.
Right?
Doesn't
That's
sound
no fun for me, babe.
Yeah. Oh, if I were to look across the room at a woman wearing a yellow gold Pasha, I would know she was too good for me.
Same.
Immediately.
I'd also
say,
probably think she's
God,
gonna be
you-
mean to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
She's
very
chivalry. All right, next.
Let's hit these two little guys. Let's do the
D&D.
D&D. Yeah. Done.
The Ronde
The Ronde.
and the Ballon Bleu.
You know it's tough when I can't remember the name, but I know the name.
So here's something I want to say about ranking watches and about giving our opinions on watches.
Sure.
So when we're doing this, we are speaking to an audience of people who have purchased these watches.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they are excited about the fact they have purchased these watches.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's say for their wives, for instance, or for themselves for that matter. But let's just say for your wife.
Sure.
So when I put this watch in the D category, I do not want you, if you do care, and presumably you do to some degree, of
course.
want you to get a pit in your stomach to say, oh my God, why did
can't
I
believe
pick
I
the
bought the
bad
D.
one?
Right.
Because the reality is, if my mom wanted a Ballon Bleu and she thought that was the case that spoke to her, my mom would be wearing a Ballon Bleu right now. And there's no question about it.
It'd be in yellow.
It'd be in yellow.
Of course it'd be in
because
yellow.
my mother was addicted to yellow.
Well, I saw the stainless steel and I thought, why not get yellow?
Why would I make it lighter if I can make it? So that's. I just want to say that because every time I give like a kind of like this is one of the big difference between me and Nico, I guess. Apart from the weight, is
That's poor guy.
No, I love Nico. Nico is the best.
You guys are friends now, so
yeah.
this is a banter that I don't know about.
This is banter. He says funny things to me. I say funny things to him. But
Was he call you skinny?
If I told you what he called me, he'd get a lot of hate mail.
Wow.
So I just want to say that like I'm giving both these watches D's because I do think they missed the mark. I don't think that they're classic Cartiers.
Right.
I don't think the Ronde was brilliant. I think it was the most, I think it was a very obvious thing to do. I don't think it was brilliant. I think it's an underwhelming watch. Sure. That being said, you are still wearing, whoever's wearing this, a pretty looking Cartier watch that is well made.
Exactly.
Like, don't think of it like I'm on your watch because I'm really not. That's not my MO. It makes me uncomfortable.
If we saw one, we're going somewhere and someone had one on, we wouldn't be like, oh my God.
No.
I still want to see it and stuff.
Oh my God, if I went on a date with a girl and she was wearing a Ballon Bleu, even though I prefer, obviously, the Panther, I would still be like, that's so cool. Like, did you buy it? Did your dad give it to you? Like, what's going on?
You have a plate of 3 meatballs and spaghetti. How far into the meal do you get before you bring up the Pasha? Just as like a gentle like.
I don't eat macaroni on dates.
Oh yeah. What do you eat?
Because
on
I
dates?
get
I remember I went on a date with a girl long before Taylor. I got a salad and she got like 2 burritos, and I was like,
Wow.
after the date, I was like, did you have any fear that like you just got a 2-pound roll of beans and cheese and like no fear? She was like, I feel fine.
Bizarre. I'm plagued with guilt every day about everything I eat. So.
Well, no, I just meant about getting sick.
No, I'm not worried about getting sick. I'm worried about feeling like shit.
Oh, I'm worried about like.
That's why I eat a lot of fish.
I'm worried about something going wrong.
Really?
That's why you eat a lot of fish?
On dates?
Isn't fish notoriously what gets you sick?
No, I mean, I eat at nice restaurants. Well, I'm not at the market, yelling to the skipper,
I'm like, I don't know. I mean, $3 for the whole meal is a great deal.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But that being said, phenomenal watches. If you had one and you saw us, I would want to see them.
Totally.
But when you're looking at Cartier's entire catalog, it's hard to put a solid gold normal in the same category as the Pasha.
Agreed.
For example.
Agreed.
That's where things get tough.
Agreed.
Now, where things don't get tough is the asymmetrique.
Hey, super S-class.
S-class, baby.
Yeah, it's all skeleton, but we should put it this way: if Cartier did not make these skeleton watches, there would be no S rung. We would be dramatic.
I'm picturing you in court right now, and they're like, the evidence. It's not about Cartier. You're in court for some other reason, and they just have unbelievable evidence that you're guilty, and you're like, you gotta put it this way. You're not thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yes. It is unbelievable. These watches are better than the things that come out of the most prominent watch brands in the world. These are better. These are better than the comparable Pateks and Vacherons.
Question.
They're that.
Question for you. Holy Trinity established.
Yeah.
Cartier is top of the top lines ever.
Yes.
No place in there.
If Cartier was only their top of the top,
Yeah.
The only reason Cartier would never be able to break through into like the Holy Trinity is just there's a very large lack of complication. So to call them
And they're not the
well-rounded fine
watchmaker.
watchmaker is not fair.
Because
it wouldn't be fair to Patek.
I thought it would say like, okay, well, yeah, you made unbelievable, like super incredible watches XYZ, but they're not the house of Cartier necessarily. They weren't always. You had a Piaget movement. You had JLC movement.
It would have been interesting to see how Cartier would have handled true complication. How they would have handled, and they did perpetuals with their Pashas and things like that. But
Sure.
that's what would have taken it to the next level. But this, to me, the skeleton is their complication.
Those
and
wa-
that's
yeah.
it.
These
They
are
don't need
unbelievable
another
watches.
complication than skeleton.
Truly. The tank. We'll rate them, but we'll finish off with the glaring issue that we've both probably come across many times. Just when you're looking on the site, you're like, what's going on here? But we're going to rate the tank in two ways. I'm going to rank a solid gold, just Tank Louis, regular. And then I want to rank the entire Must line, which is kind of represented by this. Cartier is more innovative, more playful. They used to do Solar Beat. Now they don't. That line. So first off, yellow gold tank, the most iconic Cartier.
This is an entirely unoriginal watch.
Yes.
There is nothing original about this.
Yes.
It was original in 1920,
Yes.
or whatever year the Louis was introduced.
Right.
But it's still very good. And the proportions are great.
It's
And
iconic.
And I love the watch. And
The
it is an
ultimate
icon.
practice in restraint.
It is.
It's just a square. That's it. That's all the watch is.
My heart's racing. If I'm being fair, it is objectively in the B category. It is.
you're
I mean,
being fair.
that's where the other comps are, right? That's
Yep.
where the Normal is. That's where the Panthère is.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be logically consistent, it is in the B category.
Yeah.
So I should do that.
Wow. I mean, it makes sense. What's funny is I'm like, well, why not A or S? And the answer is because it's not an A or S watch.
It's not an ARS watch.
It's a manual. Well, actually, it's mostly quartz. If you look at the entire lineup, watch that has been going on for over 100 years that hasn't been changed. Not that we want it to be changed,
I don't want it to be changed.
but no, it's the Royal Oak. It's not even the Royal Oak. If it's the Royal Oak, if the Royal Oak was invented 50 years before that.
Listen, if we did one with AP, I would put the 38 millimeter chronograph AP Royal Oak above the Jumbo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one do you want more? That's a different conversation. Which one is better? If you're giving any points at all for originality and complication, you got to go to the chrono.
Yeah.
So I put it in the B.
Now, let's spice things up. Cartier's less traditional, still tank, but we'll do a flat black dial. We'll do a disco ball shimmer of 3 different golds. We'll do Solar Beat. We'll do this. That must stay tank kind
The
of.
shimmers, the shimmer watches, which are in precious metal,
Yep.
I would put in the A.
Ooh.
Even though I might prefer to buy the standard for a significant other.
Sure.
But I credit where credit is due, right? Better is better. It's original and it is appealing, so it is better, right? You get
Yep.
points for both of those things,
Yep.
or you get points and they don't get taken away. Right?
Right.
I give you points for originality that I don't take them away when it falls. If you know, as long as it
Yeah,
falls.
of course.
Now that's a sterling, so it's a stainless steel, sterling silver, whatever watch.
Yep.
Stainless steel
This is representative, though.
of the whole Must line.
Yeah.
Great question. I mean, it's not original enough for me to make a big deal out of it.
Right.
The shimmers I give A.
Okay.
The multiple colors I give B. But keep in mind they're at a fraction of the price.
Right.
You're getting a B level Cartier, which was a great Cartier.
I mean, yeah, look at the lineup, right.
For a couple $1,000s as opposed to
Right.
10 or 12 or whatever it may be.
Yep.
So I think that's actually a pretty great review.
I would say so, too. I think that line, the Must Stay line, and I'm using that as a general term, is such a good deal that it makes the regular Cartier line difficult. The regular tank line.
It can.
Now
It
they're
can.
doing precious metal manual movement in the Must line. It's like, okay, so
Yeah.
unless I'm that guy that wants the most traditional Cartier,
Yeah.
which is a lot of people, including probably me, but it's like, can I sacrifice the dial to get everything else at a way cheaper price?
Were the Must manual?
The new ones are.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize
The
that.
shimmer is manual.
The shimmer I knew because it's precious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here's the problem, right? Can we get into the problem?
Yeah.
The problem is...
Wait, you want to give this B?
I'll give it B.
Okay, done.
Yeah. The problem with the Cartier Tank Louis now, and I think it's a massive problem, not that it impacts sales, so maybe it's not a problem for Cartier, but
Right.
as a watch lover.
Both of us, this
Both
problem.
of us.
Yeah.
The fact that they only offer that watch in quartz is a disgrace. And I don't think disgrace is a harsh word. I think that's a fair word.
I think that is probably one of the most insulting things you can do to the watch community. You did the Privé line to be like, here you go, this is back, like, sorry about that.
Yes.
But you didn't make the quartz, you didn't make the tank available in manual and everything?
I can completely understand offering it in quartz. I get it.
So can I.
And I can even see same price. Right? I can even get that because some people may prefer quartz, right? The jewelry customer may say, nah, I don't want to wind my watch.
I gotta wind it and bring it in. This one lasts for a year. Okay, I'll get that.
But anyone that wants a mechanical Louis in the quote unquote men's size should be able to get one manual.
100%.
And the fact that it's only available in quartz is ridiculous.
It's insane.
Now they've offered the XL rose in manual, but not the standard size yellow.
Right.
That is ridiculous.
We're saying basically it's like you can get this one manual, the small, you can get this extra large, but anything else, just get the quartz.
It's bizarre.
It shows such a lack of understanding of like that core watch nerd market.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Which is weird because then when I'm looking at a new watch or something like that, I'm like, okay, well, I'd want to get a new Cartier because I love how they look. I love that you can get it in a rose.
Right.
But I can't because I'm not going to get a quartz one. I just don't want to get a quartz one.
I know.
I think it's incredibly weird.
Then you end up going vintage, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like that makes perfect sense. But it's ludicrous. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. Both can be offered even at the same price, even though the mechanical is better, but same price.
Yeah.
But this is the fact that you cannot get a mechanical in that size in yellow gold is, I mean, truly, it is a disgrace. Long story short, the brand's doing a very good job.
Making huge leaps.
Yep. And I really look forward to what's coming over the next, let's say, 3-5 years.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I'd love to see some original designs.
I think something has to be moving if they're doing that Instagram for the Privé collection and stuff like that.
Agreed. All right, so that's it for today's episode. Now stay tuned. We're rolling right into the first 15 minutes of the new podcast. Go ahead over to Patreon for the full episode, but enjoy the sneak peek now. We're back with Rolly in the house.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Daddy-O? We're going on our 7th year of Liquor Run.
Yeah, it is. I
think it's 7 years.
I was scrolling through some of the old YouTube channels.
You were so heavy.
I was huge. I mean, I think Rolly.
Well, you look beautiful. And you're aging like a real distinguished
gentleman.
Yeah, you look great.
Yeah.
You look great. Good for you.
My inner Swartzy.
Yeah, I hope to look as handsome as you at 57.
Yeah, 57.
We've got a great episode today, guys. Obviously, we are, as I've promised, going to be releasing the first 15-ish minutes of the episode here for you on Spotify. But the remainder of the episode is going to be available on our Patreon. So go on Patreon/Christian Zerone for the full episode. We talk about a ton today. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about fatherhood. We answer a really important question in my mind, which is, the difference between a hobby and a business. And these are two very different things. And if you treat your business like a hobby, contrary to popular belief about passion, you're basically fucked from the get-go. And that's something that you taught me. So yeah, we're having a great conversation today. Go ahead and join our family, our Patreon family, again at patreon.com/Christian Zerone. We've got a beautiful community over there. We're releasing 3 episodes a month. We have some great stuff coming up. We interviewed John Buckley recently. We've got a couple of other like legendary vintage watch dealers. Michael and I, of course, 1 hour full every couple of weeks. It's a great community. We're having a blast. Go ahead and join. And I guess that's it. Let's get into your 15 minute version, yeah, which is fun too.
Let's get at it.
Let's do it. Today I wanted to talk about, part of my upbringing specifically. And I guess the place to start it is you got your company told everyone to stay home in October, was it?
September.
So to explain that to me, because you didn't really work for months. You were employed, but you didn't work for months.
Right.
So talk to me about that.
The signs were pointing that the company was not in good financial health, and the news from the FDA, basically was like a dagger in the heart, and that we were not going to be able to pursue an indication where was much needed, not only for patients but also for revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was basically the death blow. As those things developed, we were still working, and we were told to not go out and spend a dime. Mm-hmm. So you basically on salary and domicile arrest.
Right.
So
And when you found out, you were in Florida, right?
oh that well.
Oh no. Yeah. How
No,
did
we were already in their house arrest.
you were already under house arrest,
Right.
So you were waiting
waiting to hear what was going to happen, and then we had a call Halloween where our CEO said that the commercial operations they have no other choice but to let the commercial team basically go, with the exception of few people who had to stay on for essential purposes, right? To keep the lights on and service any customer needs. But pretty much everyone was laid off a week and a half later.
Yeah.
So since that time up until the turn of the clock, the 2022, 23, like no work, right? It just you're getting paid, but you're really not able to travel. You're not able to really interact and things like all those things that you do when when you're in a position where you're customer facing.
Right. So you're still being paid.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong there. But what does it do to you to not have purpose, to not have, it gets not only boring, because boring is an understatement, right? It really becomes what?
You tell the story to anyone and say, oh, that's great. You're making a good...
You're making great money and I'm working.
Great money. Now,
What a score.
What a score.
So you got a fucking no-show.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You got a no-show down at the court.
No-show. That's right.
Yeah. Fucking Joey Cantalupo got it for him. Guy's a good guy. His uncle got it. But Rolly's got it now. It's a very serious position he got.
His brother-in-law is an idiot. But
Fucking guy, his brother-in-law's an asshole. No, but for real. So you basically had a no-show job for all intents and purposes.
Right.
Not that it was your doing.
No, right.
But you're sitting around, you're being paid. One would think that's great. That's great. But in reality, you lose what? You lose a sense of accountability because you start to dwindle. Like you need to be doing.
you become atrophied.
Right.
So your mind, you want to stay sharp. You want to be in the state of the thrill of the chase, right? You want to be closing deals. You want to be, doing things that are moving business forward,
Right.
And this was basically a state of suspended reality, right? Where yes, the bank account shows that everything's fine, but your day to day is just the most exciting thing is just after brushing your teeth. That's it. So
You're almost waiting for cocktail hour.
that's very, very, very strange situation. Not for me.
And it's funny because, you bring kind of like the first theme of what I wanted to talk about here is exactly that, right? Like, we talk a lot about losing purpose and that means to imply that you ever had purpose, which isn't even necessarily a given, right? Plenty of folks don't even have, were never energized. Plenty of folks were never energized at all, right, by their career. And then there were folks that were at one point and then in situations like yours or in other situations lost it, right? The example that I always bring out is, the way that FDR handled the New Deal versus the way that LBJ handled the Great Society, right? And we both presidents understood that the country needed financial help. Both presidents understood that there needed to be some sort of, socialist programs and aid. I agree with that completely. FDR understood that you can't send out free checks. FDR understood that we got to put people to work and work on even things that, don't even matter, right? We're putting on plays, finishing parks. It didn't matter.
Get them working.
Because if they're not working and they're cashing checks like you were, you start to just lose your sense of self, all pride, accomplishment. And I think that exactly that, is truly one of the great silent killers of our generation and the generation before us. This started in the 70s or the 60s, and I just know so many folks, millennial kids, that go through something similar, right? Kids my age that, don't have a strong sense of self or purpose. I look at someone like you and a lot of your purpose, not all of it, because a lot of your purpose is derived from being a father, but so much of it is derived from being active at work, from killing or eating what you kill, right? Eating what you can hunt, And that's, you know, that's interesting.
And I want to say that you know, I was humbled by the fact that the company, when it made you know, its decision to keep a very small crew,
Right.
I was one of the small number of people,
Which was beautiful.
which was a testament to the value that I brought for the organization.
It was loyalty. You gave a lot of loyalty over 5 years, and they repaid you with loyalty.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they continued paying you because they wanted you to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, which is beautiful, and that's not that common.
No, it's not.
You know, but they didn't fuck you by any means.
Not at all.
You know,
Not at all.
That's wonderful. You were still going a little cabin crazy.
You go your brain atrophies. You want to stay sharp. You want to be in a position to make decisions. You know, you want to solve problems.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to see progress, or you want to take on problems.
Right.
You want to solve them.
Right.
And that's what halted.
Yeah.
Because it was out of our control.
Right.
Then it went to the courts.
Right. Do you find that a lot of folks your age, because I can definitely speak about my generation, what about yours? Like, do you find that folks your age really have a sense of purpose, or are they, because it's different generations, right? You were born in what,
65.
65. I'm born in 95, right? So these are very different times,
Yeah,
you know?
very different.
Like, what do you think, what do you notice about your kind of colleagues, your, I don't know, age group, your generation?
So what do we consider Generation X?
People call you guys boomers. I don't even.
Well, maybe we're boomers. I know that you're right. I think maybe our parents were. I don't know what I were. Anyway, you guys look at the world very differently than we did. You know, we were taught to go get educated, get a job, get a career going. It wasn't instilled upon me, and I think many of my colleagues, my friends, to go on and be entrepreneurs. It wasn't that way. You know, but we also didn't have this digital revolution, the industrial revolution that is the internet,
Right.
to go out and build a business.
No, you guys had corporate boom.
We had corporate. That's right. That was our way to move up and make money. Was to get into a company, work really, really hard, and then you know, and try to climb up the ladder.
Or medicine. Medicine was huge in your era.
Medicine was huge, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, whereas, you know, on my era, it's not. It's changed.
Yeah.
Right? My era, a lot of doctors don't have the opportunity to become wealthy in the same way that doctors of your generation did.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
and it was
medicine is just everywhere.
the whole the whole model that whole model has changed
For sure.
You don't have just private doctors owning their own shingle. Now they're part of a system.
For sure.
So they're salaried employees.
Yeah.
So you don't see as many uber millionaires in medicine anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
You see well paid.
Yeah, they're well paid.
Well paid.
Yeah, but that
They're
also
not
think
rich.
about the debt.
No,
you know, you're graduating at 27 or something with $300,000 in debt.
Right.
Going to make $225. Again, great money. Blah 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 blah. Blah.
Yeah.
But it's you're not rich.
No.
You know. I mean,
No.
Whereas the promise of medicine, you know, years before was that you actually could build your own shingle and make a ton of money, maybe become a decamillionaire,
Sure.
which a lot of your colleagues did do. You know, this is totally off topic, but one thing I gotta, you know, applaud you for, again, totally off topic, and I'm not kissing your ass, because my instinct would be to call BS on this. I really would, and I would call BS on a lot of people, but because I know you so well, every time medicine comes up, and every time you know the viability of a compound comes up, whatever, you always mention patient health. You always, like, that is, I would not give that credit to anyone. I think everyone's full of shit. I really do. You know how much skeptic I am. You actually do care about patient advocacy. Phenomenally. That's a legacy. Not that anyone will ever give a shit because people don't care, but I got to give it to you, man. That's really commendable.
I've spent 31 years. I began in the pharmaceuticals in 1992. Some of the most, outside of some of the bonuses, the commission that I made over the years, some years were great, right? Some not so great. But I can't tell you exactly how much money I made in one particular quarter.
Yeah, right.
But I do remember moments when I've had doctors pull me in their clinic to meet a patient that the drug that I was selling afforded, in particular one story, this grandfather was put on the drug that I was in oncology, lung cancer drug, and the doctor had a conversation with me, and I explained to him, the benefits of starting this drug. He did. He tried it, and then he called. I happened to go visit him that particular day that gentleman was there with his family, and he called me. He said, "Come here.
Come in, right?
I need you to meet these people, okay?" And he said, "You need to thank me because he told me about the drug, and you were able to see your daughter's wedding, or the wedding.
Yeah.
It was a family wedding. His daughter, and they were from Argentina, and they spoke to me in Spanish, and they were crying. Yeah. And I remember I was up against the wall, really, because I was like, whoa, I said, I did nothing. Yeah. What I did was I have a relationship with this doctor, and I was able to explain to him why it could make sense to have this a patient on this drug and what it could do. Yeah. And so those are the stories, and that's why I enjoy what I do for that reason. Yeah. When I connect with patients. Yeah. Because it validates what I'm doing, that somewhere through this whole wacky system that is the healthcare system, there is something good that's happening.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah.
I think that's rather unusual, and I only believe it because you're saying it, and I've heard you say it so many times, like in passing. That's the only reason I believe it, because I don't even know if I have that in my body. And that's a level of I'm not proud of that. I'm not embarrassed. I don't think I'm a bad guy because I don't have that. Right. But I really admire that. I really admire you.
Yeah, I love this platform.
Pretty cool, right?
I love it. Yeah. Sure. I mean, we both have faces for radio.
Yeah. No, I want to. I've got. There's a lot to share. Both things we can encourage and things we can tell people to stay away from that we had to learn the hard way and the easy. You know what I mean? It's not just with you and me. It's with other folks, whether it's Sam or whether it's cousin Jackie. People that we're bringing on and then obviously my guests from the watch industry. And
right.
There's a lot of things we're going to talk about, but generally the theme here is going to be, directing people onto the path of calling bullshit where they see it and doing just a fucking good job when they're going to do something. Yeah. Because if you're not going to do a good job, then why even do it?
Don't do it.
If you're not going to be a good dad, why be a dad? What are you doing? Why even do it? Right. If you're going to coddle your kid, don't be surprised when they're impotent at 28.
Right.
Don't be surprised. This is your doing.
Right.
For your own ego, you coddled.
Right.
Because you thought that it was a reflection on how great your life is. You thought that it's so great to coddle your kid.
Yeah.
Because that means I'm rich.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck you.
And your kid's not great at everything.
Your kid's gonna suck. Your kid sucks. Just like everyone else's kids.
Right.
Your kid
sucks at most things.
Oh my God, your kid sucks. Just like I did. Just like
that's right.
We all suck.
That's right.
Stop it.
Get over it.
Get over it. Let's get out of here.
All right.